Welcome to another episode of Is This for Kids? I am Jonathan Beard of Blevins, and I think that most media marketed towards children does more harm than good.
All right, and I'm Katie, MrsRuvi, and generally, I think that most media that's marketed to kids and teenagers can be redeemed with the right parental supervision. But
Except for this one.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Yeah, but with the point of this podcast is to give parents an idea of what's in the content that their kids are looking at, what they might want to shield their kids from, what concepts come up in the content that they might want to shepherd them through, and also how they can share in a really influential part of their kids' lives, the media.
Today, we're talking about a very, very popular movie that came out about a year.
2022.
2 years now ago.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 2025. How crazy is that? Do Revenge.
Do Revenge was
watch it on
streamed
Netflix.
42.55 million hours in the first week it was on Netflix.
Holy cow. Just a bunch of adults watching that, right?
No.
Okay, well, that would be weird too. So
it's not great either way. 84% of critics gave the film a positive review. 84% of viewers also gave it a positive review on Rotten Tomatoes. It is well liked.
Yep.
So we are about to get toasted.
We're going to get toasted, and that's fine. But can I just say real quick, I understand why people like it. I really do.
It's entertaining.
It's entertaining. They did a really good job of integrating like really popular music and really good. Like that's something I love. Like that's what the OC did well, and I love the OC is like there was like cool music. It actually like fit lyrically with what was happening in the movie and the show, the OC. So I get it. I thought it was well made.
If you did you ever see the movie Drop Dead Gorgeous?
Mm-mm.
Drop Dead Gorgeous is a late 90s, early 2000s, I think, dark comedy about beauty pageants in Minnesota. It's very, very funny, but without the nihilism that you have in this one. So like if you're into dark comedies, I would recommend that one over this one. So this is the story of Drea. She is a scholarship kid at a very prestigious private high school. She shoots a sex tape for her boyfriend because he asks her to, who then immediately leaks it to the entire school, much to her embarrassment, and all of her friends sort of ditch her because he's rich and popular and she's a scholarship kid, and they had to kind of let her go because they picked his team. So she's out for revenge because of that, and while she is working over the summer, she makes friends with a girl named Eleanor who tells her that there was a girl who once bullied her. She describes herself as queer, and she says that this girl accused her of pinning her down to try to kiss her. She says it wasn't really about the fact that she outed her, it was that she made her a predator. And so she says she wants revenge on that girl. Drea wants revenge on the ex-boyfriend, Max. They're going to work together because they're each going to do each other's revenge. Eleanor's going to get revenge on Max for Drea. Drea's going to get a revenge on this other girl for Eleanor. And dark, terrible things start happening. Once I saw on Netflix a description of the TV show Gossip Girl, the original one, not the remake. And it said, rich private school kids do unseemly horrible things to each other repeatedly. That was the description. And I was like, yeah.
Of Gossip Girl?
Of Gossip Girl. Also this. That's your summary.
Good job.
For the record, this movie is rated R or TV mature. I think it's actually literally rated R. It was self-rated by Netflix, which is one of those things. While it is listed as rated R, it is very popular with teenagers. So a lot of times we get pushback from people that are like, this wasn't made for kids. Cool. They're still watching it.
Yeah.
Plus we have other concerns. What in this would you shield from your kids?
I'm going to start. This is crazy because it's just not who I am. But we've just done, but all of it. This is one of those movies where, like you just said, if this movie was made for kids, the people should be in jail. Yeah. I'm not even kidding. Yeah. Like if it was, because high schoolers are not smart enough to understand that the entire movie is mocking itself and the culture. And that's because it isn't done in such an explicit way that a high schooler would understand it. In my opinion, this movie was made for adults. It's like a new version of Clueless or Cruel Intentions, or even like a kind of a new version of Mean Girls. She's All That. Right. Like a typical like teen movie and not another teen movie. Mm-hmm. Except it's made for 20 to 40 year olds, I think, who will understand it, that it's a mockery, get where the culture's going. I think it's actually a really interesting look, like philosophically, on what our culture actually does believe. Mm-hmm. I really do. Like pretend to be something that you're not. Your entire life is a performance. And I think that like is very much how people are living. But if I'm a high schooler watching this, I mean, it's every single bad influence you could think of. What would I shield a kid from this from? All of it. Like there's tons of sex. There's tons of sexual language. There's a ton of innuendo. There's tons of drugs, drinking. I mean, there's cocaine. There's peer pressure. There's I mean, you name it. The language. I think there's over 50 F-bombs I read somewhere because I wasn't going to count.
Yeah, and apparently we're using the C word casually like we're Australians.
Yeah. I mean, it was, so I would shield them from almost all of it. And that's, I'm probably missing something.
Yeah, so I wrote down sexually suggestive materials in everywhere. You don't actually see anybody having sex, but there is sexually...
You hear it.
There's lots of things like that. There's references to drug use. They show drug use. There's swearing in every possible way. There's new age therapy, mental health struggles, like just things that would be rough for a kid.
Yeah, there's Wiccan stuff in there.
Yeah. I summarized it as if Trolls Band Together was a dark teen comedy, it would be this nihilistic garbage fluff that makes everyone worse by watching it.
Yeah. There's also a giant roofie of an entire school.
It's not a roofie because they're not planning to sexually assault them, but yeah.
What do you call, what's the word for that?
They dosed them with mushrooms.
I mean, that's insane.
It is, but it was meant to be funny.
Right.
So like, here's the thing. This movie is funny. If you're a fully formed adult, formed in virtue, and you're not going to be influenced by anything, you can watch this and be entertained. The problem is that every talking point you might want to have for what makes it bad, like it's very, very tempting to go, oh, there's too much sex and there's everybody's gay and the blah, blah, blah. And yeah, sure. But they already made those jokes. Like they beat you to them. She even says it. She's like, I'm not worried that she outed me. Everyone's gay now. Like they're making fun of themselves. They're making fun of the culture. It's a self-eviscerating movie. The problem is it's also deeply nihilistic. The entire theme of the movie is that nothing matters. There are no good characters in this movie.
Not one.
You cannot root for anybody. And they make a point of that, of saying that. And to me, this is like a huge problem with Gen Z kids are notably cynical. That's like hallmark of that generation, right? Yep. And it's really funny. You talked about the music in the early parts of the movie where they're clearly making reference to 90s teen shows. I mean, Sarah Michelle Gellar's in there looking exactly like she did in Cruel Intentions, like exactly the same. All of the music behind it is 90s music. Once you realize, once it comes out, the big twist, how everybody's a bad person, it changes to Billie Eilish. Like we're down, now we're in our Gen Z territory and we're cynical and everything's that way. But the problem is for me as a mom of a Gen Z kid, that's not what they're like. Like they're not, the very online are very cynical.
Yep.
The ones that are spending all of their time on the internet arguing about, you know, if you've been on Tumblr for too long, then you're probably having these arguments. But real life Gen Z kids are thoughtful and they care about things and they're good people. And so this is one of those movies that I think creates this weird generational divide where you're tempted to be like, oh yeah, you know how those Gen Z kids are all so cynical. And it is so nihilistic. So your kid that's easily influenced by the overarching themes of things will come away with this thinking just that nihilism is a truthful thing. Like the line at the end that is delivered by Sarah Michelle Gellar, that's like the thing that you should take away from this is F figuring out who you're supposed to be. Stay lost as long as you can.
Yeah.
These are your kids who are just way too into Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
You know, have you checked in with the kid from high school who was into Hunter S. Thompson? He's not doing well. Okay. He's not okay.
Or he's changed.
That's right. I don't know. So for me, this is only ever a shepherd movie. Like you are only watching this with your kid who is very self-aware, who is very not cynical. And if you have a cynical kid, I wouldn't drop him in here.
OMG, who cares? Oh, women. I can't imagine how horrible your lives are. Get a hobby. Get a life. You're a white woman. You have no sex.
I'm a grown woman. These comments on Instagram do not bother me, but your kids shouldn't have to deal with this. That's where Bark comes in. Silence that noise. Bark can help you to cut off the apps, the scary language, and it'll let you know if any bullying like this is happening to your kid online. Get the Bark phone or the Bark app. You'll like it.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where I would just love to have a conversation with everyone who was involved in making it. Like the people who wrote it, the director, the producer, not the actors. Although it is weird, because I really do want to know what the purpose was. If it was to completely make fun of the way that culture is today, it's like, can we do that without wildly over-sexualizing teens? I mean, the actors are in their 30s and 20s playing high school kids. And so but if that's the joke, if the joke is like, we're making fun of it, so you should stop sexualizing teens. Okay.
How do you make that joke while doing it?
Yeah, I don't get it. It is so weird.
It's up a fire from inside the house.
Yeah, I just would love to know the purpose, because I feel like people are going to like listen to us talking about this and be like, duh, this whole point, they're mocking the culture today. And it's like, okay, but I don't think that that's what teenagers who are watching this are taking away from it.
They're just taking away that this was awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was so cool. It was so funny. It was so great. I love that. And there's like the gif that went wild from this where she's like, that is shocking. I am shocked.
Yeah.
Like that's all that they're taking away is that kind of, and most people are not looking this deeply into it. But if we are in agreement, and I think we are, that like representation in media matters. So when you see something normalized in media, it normalizes it in society. So when you see an overarching theme of nihilism, nothing matters, everyone sucks a lot.
Yep.
Then that's the takeaway that you have. I felt like this was sort of, you thought it was similar to the bat mitzvah, and I thought it was a flip, the complete opposite. Like we're through the looking glass here. This is like bat mitzvah was the ability to look at things and to grow up and become hopeful, and this is the opposite.
And don't have that redemption moment at the end, and they become Drea, and they become the characters in this movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like it's just the middle school version that never learned.
Kind of.
Like that,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We've talked about this in other episodes, and you just touched on it a minute ago, where these are, as a theme on this podcast, we are not comfortable with adult humans portraying teenagers having sex. It's this very strange thing that our culture is okay with, where it's like, it's okay to watch teenagers have sex because that's not really a teenager. It's a 30-year-old pretending to be a teenager. I don't understand that thought process. Like, why do you think, so if we're going to say this wasn't made for kids, it's made for adults. It's made for adults to watch teenagers be hypersexual?
Yeah.
Gross.
Yes.
I don't like it.
We're also not cool with teens playing teen characters and showing anything like that either.
Let's not pretend that like we're okay with it if they are teens, but like it's not better because they're 30. And so this is another example of that, where I feel like we're, in addition to I can set all of the sex and the drugs and the whatever aside and say it's dark comedy, that is what it is, but I cannot let go of the nihilism, the idea that nothing matters in the world, because that is the pervasive theme in the world today. Try to get a kid to care about something right now. I know them that do, that are good kids, but then they'll tell you there's no point in voting. There's no point in this. There's no point in going to church. There's no point in helping anybody because I can't, it's a drop in the bucket. Yep. Like they're very cynical. And I think that we need to be leaning away from that, you know? Yeah.
It is interesting that they do, like you said, they mock everything about the movie they're mocking. And they do mock the idea that like this young generation does want to be a part of something. And so they will pretend to actually care about it in order to, look, like it's fake activism is basically what it is.
Yeah. And I can see all of our like conservative listeners watching this video, and when they're like, oh, the Greta Thunberg brigade is out in full force today or whatever. And they'll be like, this movie's awesome. They're making fun of the teen environmentalists. I'm like, I don't think this is what you want to, like, if that's your worldview, this is not supporting it because at least they care about something, you know? Yeah. Like this is one of those movies that is so hard to articulate what it is that sucks about it while knowing that it's still entertaining.
Yep.
You know?
That's a good point. Yep. Because I will say all of that, like it's horrible. I was like, really, I kept thinking, this is just evil. Like there's just a bunch
This is an evil movie.
There's just all the stuff in it is just really, really evil. And all the characters are really, really evil. And maybe that's the point. Don't be evil. But like, man, I don't know. If I was a teenager, it's not what I'd walk away with. I'd walk away with like, man, if I was a teen, I'd be like, should I really be recording stuff at parties more? Like, should I be live streaming everything? Because that seems kind of fun and cool, actually. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, yeah.
Because you come away at the end being like, the coolest part about this is how much they don't care. And you're like, oh gosh, I hate this for you. Yep. So, I got nothing for it. Like, I wouldn't share in much with this with your kid. If you can articulate those concerns to a kid, go for it. But otherwise I would say leave this as an adult movie. Yep. And even then, only adults who are very well formed.
I'm with you. So, wow, we both agree. Look at us.
Look at us. Well, there you go. Hey, if people liked this episode and they were like, dang, I want to watch two curmudgeon-y old people get, saucy about some other teen content, where would they find that?
They go to isthisforkids.com and check out our YouTube. A link to everything we do is there. So however you consume content, you'll find us there, including Instagram, where we like to post some really great and funny and insightful things.
We do. Hilarious things. Yep. Yeah. And we have polls on our Instagram reels all the time, which is how I know that a lot of you who watch this or teenagers.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, there's so much content out there for us to navigate as parents.
I'm Jonathan Beard of Blevins.
I'm Katie, MrsRuvi. Let us help you decide.
Is this for kids?